Hello everyone and welcome to Chapter 10 Part 2 of Mr. Garman's Secret Hideout. Old Granny on the Hoof. Polly and Friday have escaped from the international meat pirates and are back in Lamanic Bibber. All that morning old Granny rocked back and forth in her chair and shook her head. And all that morning a cactus grew higher and higher underneath the rocking chair until she and her chair were 10 feet off the ground. Yes, that's how quickly the climate was changing. The heat was almost unbearable, but old Granny was a tough macaroon, and she would not be moved, not even when the first muddy waters of townal warning began flooding the high street. The river Bibber was flooding. "Terrible days! Terrible days!" she cried. And here she is, taking a sip of sherry from her 6-mile-long straw. "Well, if this town's going down, I'm going with it. I've lived here all my life. Ain't no town warming's gonna do me in. Terrible days!" "Oh, where are they?" said Friday, running past old Granny's dangling feet. "Those villains must be hiding somewhere in the town." "Terrible days," nodded old Granny. "Terrible days indeed." "Oh, we must have missed a bit," said Polly, scanning the map from top to bottom. "We must have, Mr. Friday. We just must have." "No," said Friday sadly. "I told you, that map was drawn by my own fair hand and shows the entire town, every house, every street, every hill, every bump, every bathroom, every yoghurt store." But just then they were interrupted by a terrible noise. Cried old Granny from above. "Oh, what is it, OG?" cried Polly, whipping around so fast that little biscuity Alan Taylor flew out of her pocket, did a spectacular triple somersault, and landed in a palm tree. "It's the sherry!" grasped old Granny, gobbing out massive bits of phlegm to rid herself of the taste. I was just having a little sip, to calm my nerves. Anyway, I was sucking on my straw, and then there was something stuck in there. So I sucked harder and harder on the straw. It was shocking. A hoof came out. I swallowed the hoof of a cow." "What is a hoof doing in your sherry?" said Polly. She picked up old Granny's straw and placed the end to her lips. Mr. Friday, is it okay if I try just a little bit of sherry? I am 9. Yes, Mr. Polly," said Friday. "You may. It could be an important clue." So Polly took a little sip and... "It tastes all meaty!" she exclaimed. "It tastes all meat. Oh, Granny, where does this straw lead?" "Why, to Finnegan's sherry factory on the edge of town," said old Granny. "Finnegan's sherry factory?" said Polly. "But there ain't done be no Finnegan's sherry factory on Mr. Friday's map. Hang on a minute. OG, old Granny, do you know when they done opened that factory?" "Oh, yes," said old Granny, with a dreamy look upon her wrinkled face. "They opened it on the 15th of November at 9 o'clock in the morning, back in 1973. I'll never forget it. The happiest day of my life." "Jumping rhinoceros! Mr. Friday, that's it," said Polly. "You done drew your map the day before they opened up that factory. That's why it's not on there. And I'll bet you that is where them despicable villains are hiding out. And that's why old Granny Sherry has gone all meaty." "The hoof is a lemon meringue," shouted Friday. "You're right, little miss. Let's go." So Friday jumped onto his motorbike, which, by a lucky coincidence, just happened to be standing right next to him, and Polly jumped into the sidecar, with Alan Taylor clinging to her hair, and they tied old Granny's cactus and rocking chair tower to the back with a rope, because, as she said, "If there's Sherry in trouble, I'd better come along. No one knows Sherry like me." And then Friday revved up the engine and it squealed into life. The enormous cactus flew off the ground with old Granny hanging off the end, and with a cry of "I've said nothing for absolutely ages. I want to be in the story again," from Alan Taylor, they flamed up the high street like a fire-breathing dragon, the rising waters lapping at their heels. And next, here is the picture of it. And next time, it's chapter 11. Mr. Gum gets a surprise. See you soon, everyone. Bye.